Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Finance Magnets Virtual Summit. I'm Stephen Itzakis, and I'm going to be moderating this panel, Where is the Alpha? IBs and Affiliates and Retail FX. And here with us today, we have Serafina from Income Access. We have Gert from IMGFX. We have Ian Sims from Rightlander and Jamie Stout from Revenue Tree. So again, thank you for chiming into our panel, and excited to get into this hot topic regarding IBs and affiliates in the Forex and online retail FX industry. So the first question that I had prepared for everybody, and again, this is open to all of our panelists, is, besides all the pandemic driven, market volatility and the global increase in trading accounts, what are some of the most pressing trends that you've noticed in your business or in the industry that you feel are affecting IBs and affiliates the most in 2020? And again, this is besides the pandemic itself. We're looking for the deeper trends.
I'm happy to start if you like.
Sure.
I'd say from a marketing perspective, what we notice a lot more is how affiliates are marketing. There's a much bigger tendency towards social media, towards influencer marketing. I mean, we've always seen affiliates as somebody who influences users anyway, but now the whole notion of building your own community on social medias, and it's not just Facebook or Twitter, but you see Instagram, you see Pinterest, you see a whole lot of others, and they're dabbing into a lot of that to generate their traffic and their audience and build it up before referring it to brokers. That's one. And the other big trend we see is a lot of video interactive marketing. So we see quite a lot of how-to videos, telling the audience how to trade, and just the educational type rather than just straight promoting type of content. So those are two big movements we see, because we get a lot of requests for those type of creatives and marketing tools as well.
I have to say, I've seen the ads on Instagram, the influencers, and I guess there's good and bad from this, because on one hand, it's good for those influencers that are doing the right thing. But then I've seen a lot of, scams on places like Instagram, for Forex trading. But at least a lot of the brokers are also creating those social profiles, which is, I think, helping to legitimize, as you mentioned, the shift to video. Gert, what have been your views on whether it's, related to what Serafina said or other trends that you've noticed this year that are, in your opinion, the most important?
Yeah, we just saw, because people are now a lot more home and they have more time to do things like this. Obviously, the boost into trading accounts opening with especially retail FX brokers just skyrocketed from my personal opinion. And then we also saw a shift in, IBs and affiliates that were already in the industry for many years, shifting their focus on how to communicate with new clients, but also new affiliates and new IBs joining this industry because they see, hey, I can just start a platform here, whether it's, educational content, whether it's just, providing trading information to clients to handle themselves, to see like, okay, my market competition just got bigger because people are home now. They have more time to spend time on these things, educating themselves and then trying to sell something in the market. So from my general perspective, I would just say that the market just got a lot bigger in terms of IBs and affiliates trying to promote. And I think people are looking towards more niches because, as you said yourself, more, unfortunately, scams were coming up. So people really had to dive into which audience do I want to attract to the service I want to provide in these times. That was really a shift we saw mainly, yeah.
And with the, Ian, do you want to add to this this point?
Yeah, I just think it's quite interesting with the mention there of an influx of marketers and scams in the past, because we've seen, historically, we've seen scams across binary to a degree in Forex and obviously with crypto. And I think, with what's going on with recent, the lockdowns and everything in different countries, more people looking for more opportunities. My fear is, from a regulatory point of view, that the influencer space is becoming quite a dangerous space, that you're getting a lot of people in there that aren't necessarily aware of what they're doing and how to do it. trying to take advantage of the fact that this market is there. In fact, to be honest with you, I just think the term influencer is not a particularly good fit for this industry or several other industries, to be honest.
Right. I don't know if the new generation is to blame, you know, the younger folks that are, you know, just getting into this new space, you know, because for them it's newer versus the existing market share out there. But I hear what you're saying, because it is a tricky path, you know, for someone that's new to Forex, how to navigate, you know, the space and the educational content out there, as Gert mentioned. Jamie, what's your take on either, you know, this subject we're discussing of, you know, influencers, or are there other trends that you'd like to add that you feel are most pressing in 2020?
Well, I'll say that from our point of view, the beginning of the pandemic kind of, you know, called for the influencers to say, okay, we've got you, we'll figure it out, we'll do this together. And so I think that kind of created an opening for them to establish trust, more trust than they probably would have. Hopefully they took that, you know, opening. Some did, some didn't. But I've also seen from the other point of view, the media sellers, those that sell media to the affiliates, to the advertisers, to whoever, they've had their best few months during the pandemic. Like, I reach out to all of our sponsors for my event, thinking, okay, they're really struggling. They're not. They had the best like 6 months ever during COVID.
Sure, sure. No, I think these are global trends where we've all noticed with you know, people having more time and the market volatility and wanting to trade. So it sounds like you're all echoing the same trends more or less. What I'm concerned about is, you know, is the introducing broker model kind of dying out, you know, as well as the affiliate model, given the commissions coming down, like at least in the US online broker industry with the stock market, you know, commissions going to zero. And we also see a lot of Forex brokers lowering their spreads. You know, everybody's competing on price. And could this, you know, lower revenue for brokers affect the IBs and the affiliates, and kind of, you know, making the IB business sort of a dying, you know, business, at least in the traditional sense? Like, are more IBs becoming affiliates and moving away from that? What are your thoughts on this? And this is also open to everybody.
If I can, Stephen, because I think this is a very interesting question. Yeah, first and foremost, when we're talking IBs in the US, we all know that's a bit big of a no-go, obviously. But what we saw is that, especially in these markets, that people are really attracting clients towards EAs. A lot of expert advisors, a lot of algorithms are coming into this industry, trying to whether, you know, scalp trades or go for swing trades. And obviously what the IB wants, if we're speaking on IBs and rebates in particular, they want mass volume. That's pretty much the only thing where the IB generates the revenue. And then how we see it from our sides is that IBs are going to different brokerages. They're going to compare, you know, the standard account. What is the IB payout on that specific standard account? Can we, for example, mark up the price? And I think what we see now is, because the products in the market are a lot more volume driven, because clients have to focus more on rebates, because CPA is just going down more, because there is not a lot of influx on clients where brokers can create profit on CPA. This is getting huge. Obviously, from the
for
broker,
our listeners, the CPA is the cost per acquisition that affiliates are usually paid per account, just for those listening that might not be familiar. So please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And just what we think is interesting is that also these developers on algorithms, they're trying to connect with the big IBs using them, because, you know, they have to sell it to the clients have to generate volume for the IB, and the person who develops the EA also needs to get money from either a subscription form or a fixed fee. So when it just comes to average on volume within retail FX, this is also having a big improvement compared to the last months before COVID.
Interesting. I mean, I remember a few weeks ago, I think Robinhood announced they acquired Quantopia, you know, this algorithm trace. And we've seen a lot of Forex brokers and stockbrokers offer social trading and copy trading type of solutions for clients, more advanced features. But so for IBs and for the question of, whether the model is dying, you mentioned rebates. I guess there's always that potential for the conflict of interest. If somebody creates a strategy that's just trading for the sake of generating rebates and not putting the client's best interest first, I guess, like, how do affiliates approach this the right way, and how can brokers also protect themselves from making sure, they're dealing with an affiliate or IB that has an expert advisor that, is not just trying to churn somebody's account, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think personally that first and foremost, the IB obviously also wants to generate profit for the client, because the more the equity goes down, the less volume in turnover there can be generated on that specific account type, until worst case scenario, the clients get a margin call. So then you really have to see, where do I find the perfect fit? The perfect fit as in, if it's a scalper and you add too much of a markup on the trading account for the IB, obviously the client is going to lose. But if you have a very aggressive product that does a lot of high volume in the beginning, but then, blows too much of the equity, then also, the margin and equity of the client is going down, and then the IB has to create new clients. So what we see is that IBs are trying to find EAs and algorithms that try to turn the accounts pretty much break even or minimum loss, minimum profit, to create as much volume as possible. And in that way, I have to say, at least from our perspective, instead of creating a conflict of interest, the IB is also trying to get the interest aligned, because when they see that their products are starting to fail and the client is losing, that's not good for business for neither of all parties. So instead of the conflict of interest, from what we see with our IBs, we see the interest at this moment is more aligned, because due to COVID, people don't have unlimited money to spend. So they need to gain the money that is into the trading accounts as long as possible.
Right. Ian, I know you have a background in, affiliate, in the affiliate space and in the online gambling industry, before Rightlander. What are your thoughts on, the issue of, whether the IB business is dying? Is it shifting more to affiliates? How do you see the space, competing right now to stay alive and thrive?
Yeah, I can see sort of parallels between sort of IBs and sort of the gambling industry in terms of churn and the way potential clients are passed around to, as we call them, operators or merchants or brokers. I think from an affiliate perspective, I was an affiliate for 12 years, and you kind of, you want a model as an affiliate which gives you a fairly regular sort of source of income that you can then sort of innovate and try new things on top of. And there's more than CPA and rev share. There's, CPL and media buys and various other ways that you can adapt models to work within a certain market. But ultimately, it boils down to the fact as to whether the traffic you're receiving from an IB or an affiliate is actually worth receiving. In terms of the profit you're making from it, does it still justify that channel? Right. And I think from an affiliate perspective, it's slightly different to an IB. I think one thing that gets overlooked when you're dealing with affiliates is you don't necessarily need an affiliate that's driving massive traffic to you and great traffic, because they're also taking your brand and giving you exposure. And I think a lot of people overlook the fact that, the more someone sees a brand, the more likely they are to go with it because of the exposure it receives. So an affiliate can be doing more than just trying to drive traffic to you. They can be quite a cheap way of getting your exposure out there.
Right. No, I think that's a good point, because I don't think it's enough to just compete on the product you're offering. Like if you're an educator and you're offering education, there are so many educators out there. To Gert's point earlier, there's still a lot of competition, and now if the pie is getting bigger, the space is increasing with a lot of new market entrants. It kind of it doesn't change the difficulty. But I'm just thinking out loud, where is the most successful IBs? Where are the most successful IBs and affiliates operating from? And maybe Serafina, you'd like to chime in terms of where you see, the most successful companies, which jurisdictions or which markets, or what types of affiliates or IBs?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I like to separate it based on, which are the more mature markets and which are the more emerging or newer comers to the industry. So in Europe, necessarily, I think UK, most of Western Europe tends to be on the forefront. The US, obviously, as we said before, you see quite a lot of Asia now coming up, like Japan. I see a lot of shift there. And what I also wanted to add about the whole model is, I think, in the beginning, when a broker launches, they're all about getting more volume, getting more liquidity in. And then eventually it starts to turn into more of a value factor. So you shift from quantity to quality. And then it's all about, you look for the affiliate partners and the IB partners that are bringing you more quality clients rather than just the sheer volume that you needed to build up the brand initially. So like Ian said, it's really important to see affiliates as more than just a funnel to bring you customers, but they're also your brand ambassadors. They're actually influencing loyalty to your brand through their content, and it's important to see them as an ally and as an extension of your marketing team. But then eventually you have to get to the stage where you have to assess whether your model is a win-win model and it's not tilted too much towards your channels, your IBs and affiliates, or too much towards the broker where the affiliates and IBs don't necessarily see value in the partnership. So yeah, the more mature markets are obviously the European, the US, and I would say Japan is where we see a lot.
And what type of business models, and thank you for that excellent feedback, like in some of these jurisdictions that you mentioned, whether it's, Japan or, Europe, are the types of affiliates or IBs that you're seeing more like, review sites or educators or selling some type of software, platform technology or trading system? Where do you see the most successful business models?
I think they're more, the content guys tend to prefer more of the revenue share or the profit share models, where it's more in it for the long haul rather than just, sending you the traffic and then getting your CPA, whether it's based on the volume of deposits made or whether it's just purely based on successful registrations. There's a CPA model doesn't necessarily get as much loyalty from the partnership with the affiliates and the brokers than a profit share model does, because the affiliates in it for the long haul. If they're sending their traffic and they can see that the broker is converting it, they're retaining it, and the clients are happy, obviously, because they keep playing there, then the affiliate will have more incentive to send you more of that traffic. Right. Whereas if they don't necessarily have that invested partnership in it, and it's just a one-off payout, then they're going to look elsewhere as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean the loyalty element will stay strong.
There's another aspect to that as well when you're an affiliate, because I know a lot of Forex affiliates will have mailing lists and stuff, but a lot of them rely on SEO and Google positions and stuff. And if you're working off CPA and not rev share and you get hit and somehow you lose your positions, that's your revenue stream cut off immediately. Whereas with rev share, it buys you time to get back on track.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would just piggyback off of what everyone's kind of reflected on and say that this is nothing new. Having high quality products, having more products in your funnel, adding that education, that changes the marketing for everyone. That changes the numbers for everybody, especially your affiliates. So then if you're on rev share, it's just that much easier to monetize, really, and the profit for everyone. So.
And Jamie, do you think the IB model is dying, given the decrease in commissions, or has it been counterbalanced by all the trading frenzy of 2020?
Honestly, being in the US, I really don't deal with the IB model too much. I'll say that everyone here, Forex traders, they all have education pieces to add to their funnels. And that's really where the affiliates look for their commission. That's where they're looking for the rev share. Everything else is icing on the cake. It's the education and the good education, so that 2 months later, they're not, that subscriber isn't refunding. That's key. So.
Right. So it sounds like, and to Sarafina's point about content and Ian's mention of SEO driving the traffic. So it sounds like there is some shift away, I guess, from the traditional IB model of, holding a client's hand and dealing with them on the phone, to have it all just being driven, through Google traffic. Of course, it depends on the kind of service that, that the business is offering. But it seems to me like, this trend is here to stay of everything just being driven, from content and through Google or whatever.
It's not just Google, of course. We're touching back on the influencers. They're using other platforms. A lot of them, I think also when you've got sort of maybe inexperienced business owners coming in and trying to get into this market, they perhaps don't appreciate that running a whole business on a single platform like YouTube or wherever it happens to be is necessarily a very stable business model. Because, for what we just talked about, obviously you can wake up in the morning and find you've got no business left. So
Exactly. There could be a change in the algorithm or YouTube, a change in their policy. So having said that, I mean, what would be the best advice to, some new affiliates? Maybe they have an existing business in some other vertical and they want to get into the affiliate space, whether it's a media company or an educator. What would be your best advice, given the potential pitfalls that, companies can face in the short term, if they don't, properly plan their business to succeed long term? Because I feel that a lot of, affiliates out there kind of might fail because they're just focused on short-term profits at the expense of, longer-term success.
I used to operate my affiliate network on what I called an 80-20 rule, which was basically I never wanted more than 20% of my traffic coming from one site, from one source. I never wanted 20% of my revenue coming from more than one merchant stroke broker. I never wanted sort of 20% of anything in my business, reliant on any one individual facet. You can't achieve it. It's virtually impossible to achieve. But if you aim at that, then it builds you a platform of stability where you can start to take some risks and try different things out and see what works. And I think the other thing, of course, is more so even now with regulation and the way things are going. But I think building authority is an absolute key to a successful long-term plan. I think, a lot of people sort of think they can come in here and throw a lot of things around that, you can read on 100 other websites any moment of the day. And I think the ones that will survive longer term are the ones that can demonstrate they know what they're talking about.
Right. Quality content, original content, quality research. That makes sense. And given the regulatory risks, I mean, in different, countries, it's more strict than in other places. How is trust established, when you have, whether it's a new IB or affiliate that's trying to form a new relationship, whether it's with a new broker or a new business, what are some best practices for both sides, given the number of scams out there and the risks that, the brokers face in trusting these companies to sort of unofficially represent them or, refer traffic?
Transparency. I would say.
Stole my word.
Yeah, on both sides. The advertiser or whoever, has the product that the affiliate is selling, whatever it may be, needs to be clear on what the affiliate's allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. Have a great tracking platform so that the affiliate has clear analytics, up-to-date analytics. Pay your commissions on time. That there's a plethora of things that that advertiser has to do. And then you look at the other side, on the affiliate side. I mean, it seems obvious, but follow the agreement that you signed with, that specific, whether it be advertiser, broker, whatever it may be.
So honoring the terms of
that agreement. Exactly. If you're buying traffic, let them know you're buying traffic. If you have, 5 different domains that redirect in all these different ways, and, be clear about that and be transparent. And don't give away free iPads when there's no free iPads to give away. That kind of thing. It's obvious, but sometimes people tend to miss the mark on that. And it's really just being transparent.
Excellent, excellent. And
I would like to also, touch base on exactly what Jamie said. I thought it was a very good point. We see indeed that transparency these days is super important. Indeed, the right tracking links, a good back office where you can exactly see that client came in here, here's where the conversion took place. That is the amount we're going to pay. That is the amount when we're going to pay it out to you, etc. Because unfortunately, we saw, because we have been in the industry for so long, some brokers, for example, they just pay you out a specific IB or affiliate commission on some sort of a referral account without even knowing for how much clients was this, from when to what period was this paid out. So I think therefore the shift is absolutely needed to create transparency, with the affiliate and from the broker's perspective to just show like, look, I want to create a relationship with my affiliate for the long term. And I think if the affiliate has the possibility to track everything, a very fast, good client support, that is obviously going to establish trust. And that is what you need if you want to build long-term relationships, instead of only focusing on the short-term money, rather than seeing the long-term vision if he's going to bring in bigger business down the road while you're having this partnership with the affiliate.
Excellent. And if I could ask on that, Gert, really quick, what do you see changing? Are there any trends within the compensation models used, whether it's for affiliates, CPL, CPA, CPM, or for IBs, where there's a fixed rebate or percentage of the market making revenues, for brokers that are operating those kind of, risk management practices? Have you seen anything change in the past year or so, given the regulatory changes and, a lot of brokers shifting to this, agency execution model?
I have to say from my experience, what we saw the most is that we would like to shift focus in terms of a money management structure, because then, the focus is only been set on, profit share into, what the money manager creates for the clients. And also there is no conflict of interest anymore, because the client want obviously profit. The money manager is going to earn from that profit share. And then there is no too much payout in commission and spread charges, because you're focusing on profit. And the more spread or the more commission you include in the trading, the less profit is going to remain, the less profit share can be paid out to all the clients and to the money manager itself. And I think this is actually a perfect example on whenever you're going to do marketing about your product. Ian also touched base on this very well. Whenever you can create authority where you're showing that you're willing to build this with the client, not only for yourself, this creates huge credibility in the industry when you're automatically getting referred from people using your service, because you're again thinking with the client.
I think I understand what you're mentioning is an incentive fee that money managers charge. And I know that some money managers that are also operating as introducing brokers may also be receiving that rebate. And while that could cause a potential conflict of interest, as long as it's disclosed, and maybe some money managers are going to give that rebate back to their clients to offset their costs. Mm-hmm. It does sound like the interests are better aligned when you're only earning when the clients benefit. Using the incentive fee as an example from the hedge fund industry. My next question, mainly towards Seraphine and Ian, but feel free, anyone else, if you'd like to comment, in terms of the role that software is playing, not just for trust, but also for compliance and for success. For a company to be able to grow their business successfully, doing things manually is very tough. And the more software and automation tools that you have, I feel like these are essential in 2020. So what's changed in that side of the industry in terms of the use of software, whether it's software that the broker is giving you or whether it's something that you're using in-house? What are the essentials?
I would say probably first and foremost, you need to have robust tracking. So because traffic is in so many different sources, you need to be able to track whether it's coming from a mobile app, whether it's coming from desktops, whether it's coming from offline. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is obviously you need to have very in-depth reporting. So Gert sort of touched on it. The more you show the affiliates that level of data, then it allows them to analyze the traffic. It allows them to see what's working, what's not working, which marketing campaigns work well, which ones are not converting as well. And then they put more of their effort into what's working better. So, and then it's just things like, you know, giving them an API to be able to just get the data when they want it, how they want it, so that you don't have to spend so much time in admin and fiddling and reading reports, but you have the ability to seamlessly see your stats, your traffic, and then you can spend your time and effort and investment on trying to get more of the traffic. So that's probably what I would say from a software perspective. It's really important that you have a level of depth and not just track up to the conversion level and then that's it, because then the affiliate can't see what's working and what's not working, which makes their life more difficult.
And would you consider these also sort of like marketing tools, you know, besides like the Google Analytics dashboard? And I know at your company, Income Access, you guys provide, you know, related software for affiliate tracking. So how does it all come together in terms of, you know, third-party software, you know, public software from, you know, Google versus, you know, the brokers, you know, back-end, you know, reporting, and then any proprietary kind of, you know, tech you have in-house?
So the way we say it is there's the traffic element first, which is what you're tracking. So you can see where an affiliate's traffic and how much of an influence an affiliate has had to convert it. And then you've got the conversion. So once the client registers, they deposit, the volume of trades they make, what products. You can also break it down on different types of products. Is it stocks? Is it metals? Is it, you know, currencies? What are they trading on? So if you've got multiple products that you're offering, you can break down the level of details to see where the client is trading more often. And then you can also allocate different types of commission models for them. So if you're more profitable and you've got a bigger margin on certain products, you can offer a different commission model. And the system does this automatically. So you don't have to manually work off spreadsheets. Every time we get somebody that says, I'm manually doing this, and I'm like, no, stop, don't do that anymore. So yeah, manual is a caca word in our world, you know. We try, as soon as somebody says manual, you try to find a way to automate. So and Ian is great at that. He's phenomenal, I should say.
I'm rubbish at manuals.
Great at automation.
What's your take, Ian, on you know, the essentials, in addition to help with best practices, you know, not just for growing a successful business, but doing it the right way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously now working on the compliance side, it's interesting to see what is really required of brokers. I mean, I work in Forex and gambling and finance, and we're client driven in terms of what is we necessarily go out and look on the web for, but the idea of the technology, obviously we're one of several technologies that will go and scan content and websites and crawl the web looking for stuff that could potentially threaten a brand or threaten an affiliate program, or put an end to a broker's license, or get one of the huge fines that we've seen before. So we touched on the scams earlier. We're searching for scams, fake celebrities endorsing cryptocurrency, for example. In Forex, we're looking for, you know, affiliates that are using all the sort of, you know, get rich and make money and you can't fail type terminologies. So we've got clients obviously very hot on that. But of course, there's brand awareness.
Or pardon me, clones. I know a lot of firms have been victim of being impersonated. I mean, yeah. I've been impersonated a few times on some of these platforms, and I'm not even, you know, a famous personality, but it seems like the internet is just full of these clone, you know, imposters, where they're tricking people into thinking that they're the real brand that they're impersonating.
Yeah, it's
Jamie,
pretty common.
Yeah, it's pretty common. I know it feels like it's getting worse, because I remember these a few years ago, but it's like, you know, the FCA in the UK, they're constantly putting out these announcements of companies that are being, you know, impersonated. Jamie, what's your thoughts on the, you know, essentials in 2020 to survive as an affiliate, or any tips for, new entrants into the space?
Essentials for affiliates. Well, to take half of a step back, I will say I always tell any client of mine, software is the Achilles heel. If you don't have good tracking, you don't have an affiliate program, or you won't. Even if you do momentarily, it will be very short-lived. So that first and foremost. And then on the flip side, as Ian said, compliance. And you see companies fined all the time for not following something simple as like a privacy policy. So it's as simple as that, just making sure that that's in line. And I'll say for the affiliates, a word of advice would be, back to content. Content is king. Transparency, staying aligned with your message, right? Because you don't want to, go over here and say this guy's the best and follow this person's advice, or use this platform, and then 2 days later have a video, 45-minute video on the very opposite with a competitor. So if you have a following, make sure that one, you're continuously taking care of that following, you're providing good content, original content, and be transparent and stay true to your message.
I think you raise a phenomenal point, and thank you, because historically I think we've seen some affiliates acting in a dodgy way where they'll just promote the brokers that pay them the highest CPA or the highest commission, where they're not really putting the the client's best interest first. So
there's another aspect to content, Stephen, actually, which I think again gets overlooked a little bit, is that a lot of larger affiliates and IBs will use content writers to do a lot of their stuff that don't necessarily understand. They might understand the technology and what they're writing, but they don't think about sort of the ethics and what they're saying and how it plays into the psychological element of traders and stuff. And I think that gets overlooked a lot. We see a lot of stuff that is really just, it's accidental, it's wrong, and it will get you hauled over the coals, but it clearly wasn't maliciously intended.
I think I understand exactly what you mean, because those writers, they might have a general understanding of the industry, but not understand those deeper themes that are really important, that only somebody that's been in the space a while would know. So what you're saying is they shouldn't post the article on a freelancing website for somebody to write, but instead get somebody that actually has the industry experience and knows about those best practices. So
yeah,
that
it's back to authority again, isn't it? It's quality control is obviously important when you're releasing content, but ultimately 1 million people can write an article on Forex by going and doing a bit of research on the web and stuff, but only a handful of those will be properly authoritative and tell you something that you want to know. It's the whole TripAdvisor approach, in my opinion. You're going on holiday, you go to TripAdvisor because people have been there, seen it, done it, and you get the truth. And that's the kind of approach that should be adopted in a lot of this marketing material.
And to add to that, I will say that building a community, a lot of the affiliates, the top affiliates that I have, they have a community of folks that just hang on their every word. And it isn't because they talk about every little fad and go wherever the wind's blowing, wherever the most money is. It's because they've built that trust with them by being consistent and transparent. So building that community, being transparent, frequent communication. So it's got to be personable. And I've seen like the coming of Facebook video change that big time, because then their Facebook following now sees them face to face. It can go live with them. So,
right.
Yeah.
So that authenticity is key, I guess, for those like influencer marketers or gurus that whether they're educators or have a specific philosophy of how to trade the markets. Excellent. So it seems like we've discussed today a lot of different tools that affiliates could use. And even if it's someone new that's entering the space, I mean, usually the brokers will give them some type of internal affiliate tracking software, as opposed to saying, oh, you got to use your own. I mean, some brokers don't have that affiliate tracking technology. So how does an affiliate really navigate the space when they're so new to it? if they don't yet have their in-house technology ready, and they're just looking to get started. I mean, I know there's referral links and things like that that some like cryptocurrency brokers offer, but to build a real affiliate business, and I'm sure there's not just one path, there's probably multiple options that people could take. But I guess I just thought of phrasing this question this way because sometimes, you know, a new market entrant may be just starting from ground zero and not yet have everything set up.
If I can, Stephen, I would like to say what we just saw now, starting from, let's say, March this year, that a lot of new MLM companies are starting up. And there we also have like the 80-20 or 90-10 rule, because they already provide so much technology for the affiliate that when the clients are going to sign up with the broker to create the account and to again get their earnings in whatever way, you know, we speak about with the affiliates themselves, they already have everything in-house because they get another earning model by referring clients to, for example, that MLM company, which then they're getting paid out on subscription, for example. And then we just see we only have to deliver only the last part to the affiliate because the remaining is already provided to a lot of very big and tech MLM companies. And I think this also has a positive impact because if they already getting it provided from the MLM company itself, we only have to focus specifically on what the affiliate needs from our end. So we don't have to build 100% for what he needs, but just, you know, fine tuning specifically what he needs from us in terms of tracking and in terms of, you know, getting his affiliates through the brokerage and seeing, you know, what the deposits are, what the volumes are, etc.
And is this like a super affiliate type of setup, or how would you describe this type of a provider? It's just a provider of affiliate technology. When you say MLM, I mean, does that just means there's multiple levels of payouts? Because I know a lot of brokers offer, you know, the ability to pay a few levels out because sometimes an introducing broker or affiliate will refer another affiliate, right, or another IB. So I'm just trying to understand how this would best help, you know, someone new getting into the space.
It depends. It depends. Sometimes what we see a lot is if the client is coming from an existing MLM company, obviously they already work, you know, with tracking and affiliation softwares that they implemented in their own company. And then just, you know, they are making it possible for the client to use that. So we see that also a lot of third-party companies are working with big MLM companies. And then we just do the last part of the MLM tracking specifically tailored to what the client needs in terms of trading, because all the other stuff is provided to the other company. And I think this is good because then parties can just work more seamlessly together instead of the broker actually having to find third-party software for what, for example, a client doesn't really need from the begin instance when he's becoming an affiliate or an IB, for example.
There's one thing I would add to that from a compliance perspective. MLM, it can make it very difficult for the broker at the end of the line to understand the sources of that traffic. So if they're trying to protect themselves from mismarketing or unethical marketing, unless they've got tracking directly down to the websites and influence material, social media networks where that's coming from, or email marketing lists, they don't know what's being delivered to them and how it's being delivered. I mean, if you go onto Instagram, for example, and do a search for Forex, you'll see all sorts of influencers sitting there with their Lamborghinis in the drive and their huge houses and their champagne and doing all that. And they might well just be passing on traffic to the next level up in a chain. And ultimately that could come back to bite everyone in that chain. So that would be my warning shot about MLM.
Interesting. That's a phenomenal point. And I know some brokers are very strict with the source of the traffic, where they'll have to, you know, pre-approve a website before you could even, you know, send any traffic to them. On that note, and, you know, feel free, anyone that wants to chime in this, I thought to direct it to Serafina with regard to, you know, what can brokers do to better help, you know, their affiliates or their IBs? I know we haven't spoken too much about introducing brokers during this conversation, given that I feel the market has shifted so much towards IBs. I mean, I'm towards affiliates, excuse me. And since a lot of introducing brokers need to be regulated, but the question applies to both IBs and affiliates.
I would say, you know, I think first and foremost, we talked about the transparency. We talked about having the right tools. We talked about, you know, being clear with what you want affiliates to do or not to do. We talked about payments, which is really important. You've got to pay your affiliates on time and you have to be consistent. But another big factor really is an open line of communication. I mean, it's really important that an affiliate program does not run on its own. You have to have personal, dedicated support to work with the affiliates on a day-to-day basis. It's not enough to just have a fantastic trading platform and even a fantastic affiliate software and then that's it, goodbye. They just don't, you know, there's so many hundreds and thousands of programs out there that if you don't stand out, it's very difficult because affiliates sign up to hundreds of programs and they're not going to remember every single one of them unless you give them a reason to. So that's really important. Personalized support is very important. And I think the clear boundaries, it tends to be common sense, but it's really overlooked sometimes because if I'm not sure, like, you know, can I do paid advertising? Can I do PPC on your brand terms? Some of them don't mind. Some of them are absolutely no go, you know? So you have to be very clear with what you can to have a very good relationship with your affiliates. That's on the broker side. On the affiliate side, same thing. You need to be transparent about where your traffic source is coming from, which markets. Try not to incentivize traffic if the broker does not want to incentivize traffic. And more importantly, respond, be responsive, you know, don't ignore, don't shut off the communication line, keep it open.
Excellent.
That's
what I would add something to that and just say, you know, you can be creative. If you have, say you have 50 affiliates that are really good at media buying or 20 affiliates really good at SEO, or, you know, you have, take your top 10 affiliates and say, how can I help you? Because they're essentially working for you. Their business works for you. So say, how can I help you? And if that means an SEO mastermind so that they can level up their skill, great. You're building a stronger community of, you know, troops that are going to go out there and sell your product or, you know, get you subscribers. But you can get creative with that and just ask them what they need and they'll tell you, and get creative with, you know, even prizes. Like if you do a contest or something, do a mastermind, do a, you know, business development accelerator, do something to help them past just the transactional benefit.
So, sort of like a training for the IBs or affiliates coming from the broker. I like the SEO, the content related points because I feel like that's where a lot of affiliates need help. And I feel it would be safer for some brokers to do that from a compliance perspective, you know, versus, let's say, teaching them how to sell, which can be a little more trickier in terms of, you know, when you talk about investments.
Marketing education.
Right.
Because affiliates are marketers. So exactly. Marketing education. And there's always someone that knows more than you. Right. And everyone should know that. So find someone that knows more than your affiliates, than your own marketing, you know, team, bring them in, and it'll make everyone better. More revenue for everybody. So
makes a lot of sense. So better communication, better transparency, and you're saying be proactive to reach out to your affiliates or IBs and help them in any way you can, whether that's introducing them to a course that you're doing in-house or externally, because they're kind of like an extension of your business. So if you're helping them, it kind of helps everyone at the end. Ian, what are your thoughts?
You can go a step further than that, actually, because I think affiliates can also teach them about compliance, can also make sure they understand a bit more about who they're trying to attract. But I think one thing, going back to the point of transparency, which is one of the most important points, in my opinion, that we've made today, Jamie came up with earlier. I think there's also managing expectations and exceeding expectations. And I think if you can teach your affiliates how to manage a trader's expectations, and preferably even to the point where, as they pass them down the line, you exceed them, then I think you end up with a much better quality of trader at the end of the day. You get much more targeted, better traffic. I think too many affiliates are focused on saying everything's amazing, everything's great, everything's good. If you go and do this, it's brilliant. When in actual fact, that's not always the case. Right. You know, you can take any merchant out there and point at their good points and their bad points and do comparative marketing so that someone goes in with their eyes open as to what's good and what's not good about where they're going. I used to be, I frequently gambled online. That's how I got into the whole gambling thing. And I learned very quickly that, you know, not every gambling operator is good. And you want certain things from that. You want fast payouts, or you want certain types of games. And you end up just trawling around lots of different places to find the right one, because no one actually gives you the truth. They just say, this is great, this is brilliant, this is amazing. So I think for me, that's a huge part of marketing as an affiliate, is managing expectations to the point where your final delivery point exceeds those expectations.
Excellent. That's really great feedback. And I think it's so important because there, as you mentioned, there's a lot of, you know, marketers out there, affiliates and IBs that are making, you know, outrageous claims. And even if it's not ill-intentioned, it ends up hurting the customers because, you know, they go into trading thinking that it's easy and that they're going to make a lot of money. And then when they lose, it just ruins the experience, as opposed to, you know, what you're suggesting, which is providing a more balanced approach to the education so that, you know, clients realize not every trade is a winner, you know, and it's about managing the losing trades, you know, relative to the winning ones, to balance it out. So I definitely agree with that. Gert, what are your views? You know, this is a challenge, I think, for every IB or affiliate, you know, dealing with balanced content, because on one hand, you want to convince customers that it could be a good investment, right, if it's suitable for them. But how do you balance that message, you know, to keep it, to avoid, you know, misleading?
Yeah, I would say to keep expectations as central as possible. We see that, for example, money managers, when they have a platform where they show, you know, the track record, the results, they always say, you know, past performance does not guarantee any results for the future. But I think we also have to take into consideration that for 2019 and 2020, these were the most unpredictable market in terms of stocks, indices, and FX, you know, since years. And what I would like to say to that is that money managers, affiliates, and IBs need to take into consideration that the selling point of results, it's just not accurate anymore, because even when you're selling courses and people are saying after you watch this course, your results will go up 120, 150, 200%. This is just not relevant anymore, because the customer who goes to money management services, the customer who follows IBs and trades with them, they know, they saw, like Ian touched on it on Instagram, for example, the people with the rented private jets, with the rented Lamborghinis, they know that unfortunately is fake stuff. So I think therefore it's more important to be a lot more conservative, still being transparent about your results, but actually trying to lower the expectations a bit more for a client, because then you won't have the problem after maybe a quarter or half a year when you're doing quarterly or half year results. You're saying like, look, the results did not meet the expectations from the client or the portfolio performance. And then you just make sure that the expectations versus the actual results are just a lot more in line, if you're not trying to oversell past results, back test results, etc.
It needs to be realistic. The forward testing needs to match the back testing, I guess, and to Ian's point, to set the expectations. Phenomenal. I know we only have a couple of minutes left. This has really been a great panel, and you know, thank you to all of you and to everybody watching today. I guess our last kind of just round of thoughts, I'd like to ask you all if there's any parting advice that you would offer to our audience, you know, the best tips for them, whether they're a broker or whether they're a trader, and they're looking to, you know, just continue a successful affiliate business or get into it, you know, for the first time. What would be your best advice? And we can start
I'll go first.
Sure.
I mean, I would say pivot. There are always cycles in any business, and you know, with any ecosystem, there are cycles, so things will change. expect it. But if you learn how to pivot and you learn how to adjust, there is a way. If there isn't a door there, build one. I've been in the affiliate business for over 10 years. I've managed all sorts of launches, and so the beginning of Bitcoin launches, and the Forex, and this, all sorts of, anything you could possibly imagine. And I'll say, even back to the beginning of the VSL, the invention of the video sales letter. That was a new thing, but before that, everybody was using long form, and before that, everybody was doing something else. So there is no one, golden ticket. There's just the ability to adjust and educate yourself, learn, and just one step in front of the other, stay with it.
Excellent. Ian, if you'd like to go next, or
yeah, from an affiliate perspective, I think if you're coming into this relatively fresh, I'd be inclined to start by trading and going into Google, doing your searches, picking some traders, going and trading, and try and do that experience and just see what was missing from that experience. See if you can identify, what didn't work for you and where the gaps are in your experience, and possibly even think about innovation and, what's not out there at the moment, using data to advantage to try and recognize a niche that you can become an authority in, and build some authority on one specific point and work from there outwards. Because I think just going in and throwing banners around and links around and saying what everyone else is saying won't get you too far.
Excellent. Kind of like what Jamie's saying of trying to stay ahead of the curve with pivoting, totally, and innovating. Excellent. Gert or Serafina, whoever would like to go next.
Sure.
Serafina, take it off.
Okay, you got it. I would say my best advice would be think long term. Don't just jump into it and expect to make a profit in 3 months and run off. You got to plan long term, stretch your budget as much as you can, whether you're the broker or the affiliate. And the second part is really be a consumer of your own product. So, good affiliates would typically, as Ian said, they'll sign up as a customer, they'll see the experience, they'll see the customer service they got or didn't get. You will know whether what you're trying to get someone else to sell for you is actually sellable or not. And if it's not, you're a good source of feedback. So consume your own product, be your own advocate first before you go, sort of like charity begins at home, model. And that really works very well in affiliate marketing, to be honest.
Excellent. I love it. Yeah. Build it for yourself first, and, before you give it to someone else, or use it if it's not yours and it's a broker's product. That's fantastic. And Gert, take us away.
Yeah, I would say definitely a big summary of what all the other panel speakers said, but I think from my understanding is take time. If you have an idea, you have a product, or you want to sell something, don't get it out too fast. Take your time. This is a big market. Choose which market do you want to target to geographically, know which niche public you're trying to get it out to. There's a lot of information online that you can get from a lot of experienced affiliates saying like, this worked for me well in this year, then the market shifted, then we're using this tactic that works the best. Don't try to get it out too fast. Take your time, create credibility, make sure your platform runs on transparency, start slow, always think long-term. And I think for now that's pretty much the way to success.
Excellent. The strategic planning and strategic thinking, and don't just rush to get a product out there or a service if it's not ready. Excellent. Correct. Well, thank you, everyone. We're pretty much at time here now. So thank you to all of our panelists. Excellent work today. And for everybody watching, thank you for attending the Finance Magnets Virtual Summit 2020. And we hope to be with you again shortly. So that is it. And have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.